it's Vicki from Minerva and welcome to our Fabric Masterclass series. So this video series is designed to complement the Minerva Fabric Guide, which is the ultimate reference guide to learn all about fabrics, especially for dressmaking. So the guide covers everything from understanding the fundamental properties of different fabrics through to all different fibres and importantly as well, what fabrics are suited to make in different styles. So in the last chapter or section of the guide, we also cover 70 of the most popular base cloths used in dressmaking, each which actually come with a physical swatch of the fabric as well, so you can get hands-on learning as you work your way through the guide. If you are interested in purchasing a copy of the guide, we do have them in stock and available now at Minerva. And if you're someone that really wants to expand your fabric knowledge to help you in your sewing journey, then it really is the ultimate guide to be able to help you with that. So in this masterclass video series, myself and Jo, who you'll probably know from the channel, we have filmed 2 videos to go with each of the base cloths, the 70 base cloths in the last chapter of the guide. So we're going to be working our way through these alphabetically. So today we're going to be taking a look at cord fabrics. So in this video with me, we're going to be taking a look at some of the different cord fabrics that we sell here at Minerva. So I've got some samples out of lots of different ones. So we're going to have a look at the differences between them. And I'll be giving you lots of ideas on what you can make with these different cord fabrics as well. And I've also got a whole pile of patterns to give you specific pattern suggestions as well for lots of inspiration. Now in Jo's video, which is coming to the channel later today, so Jo is going to be guiding you through on how to sew with cord fabrics. So she's coming at it from a sewing tips point of view, and she'll be sharing lots of tips, techniques, hints and tips, as Jo's videos are always packed full with. And Jo will also be sharing some community maker inspiration from the Minerva website as well, so you can see what other people in the sewing community have been making with cord fabrics, and hopefully that'll give you even more ideas and inspiration on what you could make as well. So let's get stuck in. So like I say, in the fabric guide, in the last section, we cover 70 of the most popular base cloths. So each base cloth gets its own 2-page spread, and this is the one for cord fabric. And yeah, we talk all about cord fabric in here. So let's first of all, we'll just have an overall round look at what cord fabric is. We'll hold one of these samples out so you can see it just as I'm talking about the fabric, and then we'll get stuck into looking at these samples I've got to show you, and then the pattern suggestions as well. So this is one of our beautiful core range cord fabrics here at Minerva. So what is cord fabric? So cord is a woven fabric. From a difficulty rating point of view, we've rated it at a 4 out of 5, which, depending on the type of cord fabric you choose, some can be more difficult than others. But I wouldn't say it's not necessarily that it's very difficult to sew, but there are things you need to take into account, like the nap and the grain line and things like that, which Jo will cover lots in her video later today. So there's just more to consider with cord fabric, which is really why it's got that higher rating. So cord fabrics are very often made from cotton fibres, but they can also be made from synthetics, or a cotton and synthetic blend you'll often find. And sometimes you'll find them with added elastane or lycra spandex as well, to give the fabric just a little bit of stretch and recovery. So cord is notable for its unique ridged pattern on the surface, which can be woven in a variety of different ways and different widths. So cord fabric it's a very popular, much loved fabric, and it has this sort of almost like a velvet-like appearance and a cosy sort of feel to it. So the ridges of the piled yarn on a cord fabric are known as wales, spelt W-A-L-E, and these wales can vary in width. So the wale number, which you will often see on like an online fabric listing for cord, so that wale number is determined by the number of ridges that you will find in 1 inch of the cord. So the lower the number, that means the chunkier the cord, because if you only have say it's a 4-wale cord, so if you only have 4 wales in the space of 1 inch, they're obviously going to need to be quite big ridges to fill a 1 inch gap. If, like say on this fabric that I'm holding up, if you've got 21 wales per inch, then they're going to be much finer, because obviously it needs to fit 21 in an inch gap. So that's all the wale count means. It's just literally how many ridges there are per inch of fabric. So cord fabrics have a nap, like I mentioned before, and you can determine the direction of the nap by just running your hand over the fabric. So and you would do that parallel to the selvage, so it's not side to side, it's up and down the fabric. So one way the wales or the ridges will feel very smooth when your hand moves over it, and in the other direction it's going to feel rougher when your hand moves over it. So what's most important with that is that when you're cutting your pattern pieces, is that you make sure that the nap runs in the same direction on all pattern pieces. Now traditionally the correct way of doing it would be to make sure that the smoothness runs down the body. But you know, that can be open to interpretation. It's open to personal preference. You might want it running up. You know, I've seen people in the Minerva sewing community that have said when they've shared their makes in cord that they just prefer it that way. It's absolutely fine. You know, you can do it either way. I think just what's important is that whichever way you choose consistency with it. So that because if you hold the fabric at different angles and, you know, say I have one pattern piece going one way and one the other, you do get differences in tone because of how that nap direction sort of falls on the fabric. So in the fabric guide we do also cover weight, opacity, drape, stretch, washing instructions, recommended needle, lots of sewing tips, but we also talk as well about what you can make with cord fabric, and really that's what my video is focusing on today. So cord fabric is a super versatile kind of fabric, and it's ideal for making trousers, shorts, skirts, dresses, pinafores, jackets, waistcoats, shirts, overalls, dungarees. As you can see, there's loads of stuff you can make. And because it's a durable fabric, it is also very popular for sewing children's clothes as well. And as you know, when we work through these samples that I've got to show you, it will become apparent. You know, there are lots of varying weights when it comes to cord fabric rather. So you know, it just depends. You know, whatever weight you choose will really have a sort of determining impact on what successful style of garment it will make. So let's have a jump into these fabric samples I've got out. Let's take a look at them. So the first one I've got here, so this is a Minerva core range fabric, and this is our 21 wale cotton needle cord. So it's 100% cotton, 150 GSM, which puts it in our medium weight category. That's GSM is grams per square metre, and it's approximately 140 centimetres or 55 inches wide. Now this is the navy blue colour, but with it being a Minerva core range, it comes in a whole range of colours, and you know, ranges that we stock all year round. So with this one, so like I say, it's a 21 wale cord. So that means it has 21 ridges per inch. So that is a very fine cord fabric, which is often referred to as needle cord. So if you see something described as needle cord, that should be a cord that has lots and lots of ridges, so a high wale count. And what that means, which you can see from the weight of this fabric, the 150 GSM, now that just falls into our medium weight category here at Minerva. So yes, it is a medium weight fabric, not a lightweight fabric, but because of the fineness of those ridges, compared to some of the other cord fabrics we're going to have a look at, and perhaps compared to what you might have in your mind about what cord fabric is like, this is a very light cord fabric. So it still has structure. You know, you can see it's not a very soft drapey fabric when I hold that up, and that's really because of the cotton content. But it isn't super chunky, super thick. Like you can see, if I gather that up into sort of little gathers or pleats, you can see just how well that gathers. You know, it's not thick and bulky like some of the others are that we're going to be coming to. So that makes it suitable for, you know, different sorts of things. So, you know, if you wanted to make a shirt, for example, or a lighter weight shirt dress, this would be ideal. Shorts for summer would be fantastic. Even some dresses, you know, that have gathers and ruffles would be fabulous in this. You know, and so that sort of style, for example, if you made in a much chunkier cord, you know, that would just be too thick and too bulky to make, say, that style of dress with. But in this fabric, it would just make a more wintry version of it, but still be absolutely fine. So yeah, it's a very versatile one. And I think these lighter ones are also fantastic for children's wear as well, because I think you probably don't want anything, especially for small children, you don't want anything too thick and bulky that will be uncomfortable for them to move around in. So yeah, very, very versatile cord, that one. So next up, this is another Minerva core range. So this one is our 21 wale cotton baby cord. So this one again is 100% cotton, approximately 144 centimetres or 56 inches wide. And this one is 145 GSM at light. So that puts in our light to medium weight. So it's just a touch lighter in weight than the other one. It's a Minerva core range, like I say. So it comes in lots and lots of different colours. There's this gorgeous red, but you know, there's tons of colours on our site. Again, it's 100% cotton, so it is very similar to the last fabric. It's just a little bit lighter again in weight. So if you're going to be making a pattern, you know, maybe even some baby wear or, you know, young children, or something that's got lots of, you know, ruffles or gathers on it, or lots of little details, or you just want something lighter weight, like you want to make a shirt rather than a jacket, for example, then either of these two first options that I've shown you will be fantastic. And they come, you know, each of them come in their own colour range, so between them you have tons of colours to choose from. So the next fabric I've got, so this one is another Minerva core range. It's our 8 wale cotton corduroy fabric, 100% cotton. Now this one is 270 GSM, so it's a lot heavier than the others, but not so heavy as some of the ones that are coming up. And this one is a medium to heavy weight. It's approximately 142 centimetres or 56 inches wide. So with this one, it's the same as the last two in that it's 100% cotton. So I should say with all those actually, that means all of them have no stretch in them at all. So yeah, so 100% cotton, but this one only has 8 ridges, or 8 wales per inch. So it's a chunkier cord. Now I would describe this as like a mid sort of sized ridge for a cord fabric. You know, it's not as fine as the needle cord or baby cord, and it's certainly not as thick and chunky and bigger ridge as the jumbo cords that we've got coming up in a minute. Excuse me. So this, yeah, it's a nice kind of mid-size cord fabric, and it is very popular, I think, for that reason. But what it has that's very, very different to the last two we've looked at is the weight difference. So hopefully you can see that will come across a bit if I kind of hold that up on screen. You can see again, it doesn't have drape, this fabric. It's got structure, it's got body, and a lot of that comes from both the cotton fibre content and the weight of this fabric. And I think as well, just the nature of cords that have a thicker wale count, it tends to give them more body and structure. So yeah, this one, I mean, this is a great all-rounder really. You could certainly make a jacket in it. You could make dungarees, pinafores, skirts, trousers, shorts, pretty much everything on the list really. You could also make children's clothes in it as well. Yeah, if you were making a shirt or something, I would probably go for one of the lighter weight cords, unless you wanted a particularly heavier shirt, but this is going to venture definitely more into jacket category rather than shirts. So yeah, that's a lovely one. It comes in a lovely selection of colours, that one as well. So next up, now we're on to the jumbo cord. So this is our Minerva core range 5 wale cotton jumbo cord. It's 100% cotton. It's 142 centimetres or 55 inches approximately wide, and it is a whopping 295 GSM, which puts it into our medium to heavyweight category. So it's the heaviest one we've looked at so far. Again, just like the last three, it's 100% cotton, so there's no stretch in this fabric. And really what makes this one different is the size of those ridges, those wales. So like I said, this is a 5 wale cord fabric, so it only has 5 ridges per inch, so that, you know, sort of demonstrates just how chunky those ridges are. But it's one of those, I think the chunkier a cord fabric you go, the more obvious in a way that it is a cord fabric. You know, from a further distance you can see that it's cord because it's just, you know, the ridges are more prominent. And yeah, I think it's an absolutely beautiful fabric. It's very, very soft, this one. So even though this one is weighty, you know, you can actually see it has, I mean, it certainly hasn't got drape, but it does have a softness a little bit more than those others, which is unusual actually for a jumbo cord. Often they, you know, they do go sort of stiffer and more structured the chunkier you go. But yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, this fabric, so soft. Like I say, it's a Minerva core range that comes in tons of different colours. Yeah, and if you really want to sort of go for a corduroy garment, and you know, have something that looks really chunky and cosy corduroy, then this will be a really lovely one to use. Now then, so the next sort of fabrics we're going on to, so the samples I've got almost kind of go into 4 different categories really. So the first category we've just looked at are completely natural fibre, non-stretch cords in a variety of wale sizes. The next category I've got are predominantly natural fibre, but they have some elastane in there, and that gives them a little bit of stretch and recovery. So these are still woven fabrics. You know, you treat them as a woven, but they have some stretch, some, you know, a comfort stretch in there. It's not the same sort of stretch as a jersey, and it's only a 2-way stretch, so it only stretches in one direction, which is across the width. So first of all, so this is our finer of the 3. So this one is our, again, another Minerva core range. I think they all are today actually. And this is our 16 wale stretch woven needle cord. So the blend on this one is 85% cotton, 10% polyester and 5% elastane. It has approximately a 15% stretch across the width, none down the length. It's approximately 300 GSM, which puts it in our medium to heavyweight category, and it's approximately 145 centimetres or 57 inches wide. So let me hold this one out for you. So this is, you know, it's a finer cord, but not so fine as those first 2 that I showed you, because this is 16 wale cord. So yeah, the ridges are a little bit bigger, but it's still a nice fine one if that's what you're looking for. And what is quite unusual with this fabric, which is why I really wanted to include this one in today's video, is that even though it does have that finer wale count, and like I said earlier, often on a finer wale count, it will be a lighter weight cord. This one is actually an exception to that rule because it does have a really good weight to it. So you've got the finer wale count, you've got the stretch across the width, and you've got a good weight to it while it's still nice and soft. So I think it's just a lovely combination in this fabric. And really, I think you could probably make anything in the list from this fabric. It's still soft enough, and with those finer ridges, you know, it's still going to gather nicely. You know, it's still just about light enough, I'd say, to make a heavier shirt, but you could still certainly make a jacket or like dungarees, overalls, that sort of thing with it. And if you were making like trousers or a skirt or anything that, you know, requires a bit more fitting, then that comfort stretch in it is, 1, going to make them really nice and comfortable to wear, and 2, it's going to make achieving a good fit much easier. So yeah, it's a fantastic one, that one. And so we have this beautiful sort of chocolate colour, but we also, you know, it comes in lots of different colours again, with it being a Minerva core range. The next one I've got, so this is another stretch woven needle cord. So this is our Minerva core range 7 wale stretch woven jumbo cord. So this one, the blend on this one is 97% cotton and 3% elastane. So predominantly cotton in this one. And it has approximately a 30% stretch across the width. So it's got a really good stretch on this one. And it is 325 GSM, which puts it in our medium to heavyweight category, and it is approximately 150 centimetres or 59 inches wide. So this one is a lovely chunky cord. That stretch in the across the width is a really good stretch. So whatever, you know, if you were making a more fitted garment in this, it's going to be super comfortable to wear. Yeah, and it's just beautifully soft, this one. As you can see, you know, it's definitely, you know, it's not a soft drapey fabric, but I wouldn't say it's stiff either. You know, it is lovely and soft as well. Yeah, and just a really great all-rounder. If you're looking for a more chunky, you know, more chunky than one of the finer needle cords in a stretch version, then this is a really lovely option. This is beautiful sort of lavender type colour. I think that's really pretty. But we have, you know, loads of colours available on the site. And then the third one I've pulled out in our stretch woven category. Now this one is a 6-wheel stretch woven jumbo cord. Now the blend on this one is actually very similar to, or the same as the brown one I showed you. So there's a little, just 10% polyester in there. So it's 85% cotton, 10% poly, 5% elastane. And I think what that does for both of these fabrics, just that tiny little bit of polyester in there gives the fabric a little bit more softness and drape. So if you do want something more structured, I'd go for the one that's predominantly cotton just with a bit of elastane. If you know you want something just a little bit softer than that, then either the ones with just that hint of polyester in it could be a really good option. This one has approximately 20% stretch across the width. It's 310 GSM, which puts it in our medium to heavyweight category, and it's approximately 145 centimetres or 57 inches wide. And I absolutely love this fabric. I do love a jumbo chunky cord, I must admit. I just think it has such a cosy feel to it. I love textured fabrics anyway, and yeah, I just think it's absolutely stunning, this fabric. So it really, even for the, you know, for the weight and chunkiness of this, you can see hopefully just how much softness that fabric still has, and a lot of that is down to just that hint of polyester in there blended with the cotton. But you know, it still feels, because it's predominantly cotton still, it still feels like it's, you know, like an all natural fibre. And then you can see the stretch across the width there. Again, it's going to make it super comfortable to wear. I think for a jumbo cord, it's a really lovely combination, this one. This is the creamy sort of colourway, but again, with it being core range, it comes in lots of different colourways. Now then, so now we're going to go on to the third category I've pulled out. So we've just a couple in this one. And these ones are, like everything we've looked at so far is predominantly cotton and predominantly natural fibre. These ones are actually predominantly synthetic fibre, which, you know, some people don't like wearing polyester or synthetics, and that's absolutely fine. But in some situations, they do come in. So if you want something particularly durable and hard wearing, easy care, isn't going to crease, you know, you can pack it in a case and, you know, in it not be creased when you arrive, that sort of thing. Or just something that you know is going to get lots and lots of washes and wear. Things you might wear every day, to work wear, children's wear, any of that sort of thing, then these are fantastic. So they are quite similar, but there are, you know, just some subtle differences between them. So the first one is our Minerva core range 17-whale stretch woven baby cord. So it is 93% polyester, 5% nylon and 2% elastane. Now it's 200 GSM, which puts it in our medium weight category. It has approximately 15% stretch across the width, so just a little bit of stretch. And this one is approximately 140 centimetres or 55 inches wide. And this one is the baby pink colourway, but again, with it being core range with lots of different colours on site. So hopefully you'll be able to see with this, the other sort of, apart from its durability and, you know, crease resistant qualities, the other thing that's different about this, with it being a synthetic blend, is just how much drape it has, which is very really sort of uncommon for a cord fabric. You know, cords are traditionally and most commonly found in cotton fibres, which the cotton fibre is what gives the fabric a lot of its structure and you know, non-drapiness. But obviously with it being made in a different fibre, that affects the properties of the fabric. So you can see hopefully on camera there just how much more drapey that is. Yeah, it still has body and weight to it. You know, it's still 200 GSM, so that's firmly into our, you know, medium weight category. So yeah, if you're, another sort of reason you might want to use this fabric over one of the cotton ones is if you're making a style that you know wants a little bit more flow and a bit more drapiness to it, then you've got that option in this fabric. And then the other one I've got, so this one is another Minerva core range. It's our 15 wale stretch woven cord fabric, corduroy fabric, 97% polyester, 3% elastane. Again, approximately 15% stretch across the width. It is 240 GSM, which puts it into our medium weight category, and it's approximately 145 centimetres or 57 inches wide. So the blend is slightly different on this one, but quite similar. The wale count on both of them, so this one's a 17 wale count, this is 15. So they're both quite fine, not as fine as the first two that I showed you, but similar to this one, you know, in a similar sort of bracket. So it's a nice sort of size wale count, that one. Now this one is a little bit heavier in weight, still classed in our medium weight category, but it's definitely at the top end of that category. And they both have a similar amount of stretch. So yeah, they're the main differences. But I would say, like when I hold this one out, and you can see again, because of that fibre content, it has much more drape than its cotton alternatives. And I would say with this one, the appearance of it is just a little bit more mottled than this one. This one is definitely more of a flat, solid colour. And this one just has a little bit of, it's not really texture, the texture comes from the cord, but it's almost a little bit melange looking. And it just catches the light ever so slightly. It's a really, really lovely effect. Hopefully that comes across on camera well. And with it being a core range fabric as well, again, it comes in lots of different colourways. So that's the third category covered. Now the fourth category is a little bit of a wild card really, and technically they don't really fit into the cord category, but I did want to include them and you'll see why. Let's move these over here. So with these fabrics, and we have 3 of them to show you, they're actually a knit fabric. So technically they are more of a velour fabric, which is a base cloth we'll be covering in this series when we get to the alphabetically when we get to these. But they have a rib texture that emulates cord. So at first glance you would think they were cord fabrics. So I thought it would be interesting to include them in the cord video, because depending on the style you want to make, like if you have a pattern for a knit fabric but you really wanted the look of a cord, then rather than trying to sort of adjust the pattern to try and make it work for a woven fabric, which can be a bit tricky, certainly if you're new to sewing, then actually if you went for one of these you'd get the look of cord but with the ease and comfort and being able to use a knit pattern with it. So I do think they're very interesting and lovely fabrics, these. So first of all, again, it's another Minerva core range, and this is our 8 wale velour rib stretch knit cord. It's quite a mouthful, that title. So yeah, it is a velour rib stretch knit fabric, and we've put cord in the title there as well because it looks so like a cord fabric, but it is important to note that it is a knit fabric. So with this particular one, the blend on this one is 80% cotton, 15 polyester and 5% elastane. And the stretch on it is approximately 60% across the width and 40% down the length, which I'll show you that in a second. The weight on this is 260 GSM, so that just puts it in our medium to heavyweight category. And it is approximately 155 centimetres or 61 inches wide. So a lot of those characteristics, like the weight, the blend, the fibre blend, are actually quite similar to some of the ones we've already looked at, but it behaves so differently to this fabric, and that's because of the fact that it's knitted and not woven. So when I hold it up, hopefully you'll be able to see, just how much drape that has by comparison. And to say it's still predominantly a cotton blend fabric, to have that much drape, is unusual, especially with that rib texture. And the other thing that, of course, is very, very different on this one is look at the amount of stretch and ping back recovery that has in both directions. So if you've got a pattern that requires you know, you to use a knit fabric that has a certain amount of stretch, then this could be a really good option. So this fabric again is, like I say, is one of our core ranges. So this is like the stony sort of beige colour, but it comes in lots and lots of different colours for you to choose from. Yeah, and it's just a very soft, very snuggly fabric, that one. It's going to be so comfortable to wear, but like secret pyjamas. Now the next fabric I've got, so this is our Minerva core range 5 wale velour rib stretch knit cord. So it's the same title as the last one, it's a 5 wale rib instead, so it has 5 ridges to the inch. The blend I think is exactly the same actually, yes it is, so it's 80% cotton, 15% poly, 5% elastane. This one is 255 GSM, again in our medium to heavyweight category, approximately 150 centimetres wide or 59 inches, and the stretch on this is approx 40% on the width and 60% on the length, so very similar qualities to that last one I've showed you. Just the main difference is the size of those ribs. This is a chunky one. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And I actually really love the ribs on this one. It almost has like a slight small rib and then a chunky one, a small and then a chunky one, which I think is really nice, just a bit different. But you know, we're kind of looking at each of those, the small and the big together, as one ridge, because yeah, they're yeah, it's still quite classed as a jumbo cord. But yeah, hopefully again for a weighty fabric with that texture, you can see just how much that hangs and drapes, and it's so soft and cosy. Again, a core range that comes in loads of different colours again. And then the last fabric I've got to share with you today, so there's quite a lot to get through there. So this again is really just the same as the last fabric, but this one is our 4 wale velour rib stretch knit cord. Same blend again, 80 cotton, 15 poly, 5% elastane. This one has approximately 50% stretch on the width and the length. It is 260 GSM, which puts it in our medium to heavyweight category, and approximately 155 centimetres or 61 inches wide. So again, very similar properties. You can see just how much that hangs and drapes, but this one is just a 4 wale cord, so there's just 4 cords per inch. So it is a very, very chunky jumbo cord, and I mean, it just looks so soft and cosy. It's absolutely gorgeous, and you can see even for the weight and the thickness and the chunkiness of that cord, just how soft and sort of fluid that fabric is, even though it still retains that softness and chunkiness and, you know, that sort of feel that you want from a cord fabric. So yeah, those last 3, just something a little bit different, but yeah, hopefully that's been helpful if you are somebody that sort of, you know, loves to sew knits and you just want, but you want the look of a cord fabric. So next of all, let's take a look at some sewing patterns for cord fabrics. Now I've mainly focused in these patterns on woven fabrics for cord because, you know, cord is technically a woven fabric, and that's what today's video is focused on. So the last 3 that were knits and that we've just kind of, you know, snuck into this video, you know, think of those separately for your knit patterns. So let's dive in and take a look. So I've got quite a few patterns, so we're just going to quickly go through these. So first of all, let's start with some dresses. So with dresses, I would definitely say venture towards the lighter end or the less chunky cords, just because you don't want something too thick and bulky. You know, and even in like the medium, like the 8 wale cord and things like this, you know, it's still going to give you a wintry sort of feeling dress. But anything, you know, much chunkier than that, in my opinion, I mean, it's not to say you couldn't do it, but in my opinion, will probably just be a little bit too heavy for a dress. So yeah, stick to the finer wale ridges for your dresses. So we'll insert some images as we go. So first of all, we've got Butterick 6702, and this is a really fabulous, very kind of classic shirt style dress. It's got a shirt style collar, button up details down the front, and it has not like a full circle skirt, but a fuller skirt, you know, fuller than an A-line, and it has a fitted bodice with princess seams. Yeah, it describes it as a flared skirt, that's a better way of describing it. And then you've also got length options, sleeve options, and view B is very lovely with like a handkerchief hem sort of finish up towards the hemline. Really lovely pattern, that one. It would, I think, in a cord, you know, obviously, you know, you could make that in a cotton poplin or something for summer, but in a cord it's going to make a wintry version of that dress, which, yeah, will just give you more options, you know, for sewing that pattern. The next dress we've got is McCall's 7948. This is a very popular pattern in the Minerva sewing community. So it is a simple round neck dress that we've got 4 different options. So you either have a pleat, like a box pleat skirt, or a gathered skirt with tiers, and then you have all different sleeve options. Yeah, it's just a fantastically popular pattern, that one. And again, I think in a cord you could make a more wintry, autumn winter kind of version of it. Next up in the dresses, so we've got the Hope woven dress from Style Art Patterns. So this is another round neckline. It has raglan sleeves. And you've got 2 different length options with this one, both which come with inseam pockets. I love the sleeves on this pattern. I think it's all about the sleeve really, how it sort of gathers in at about 3/4 length with an elastic cuff. Really, really gorgeous. Just at that gathered skirt, it's quite simple in lots of ways, like I say, all about that sleeve. And again, it would make a lovely, I guess more wintry version of that dress. Again, you could make that in a viscose chalet, a cotton lawn, lots of other fabrics for summer. But yeah, in a cord, it's going to give it a very, very different feel. So make sure I've got all the dresses there. Yes, I have. So the next pattern we'll look at is a pinafore dress. So this is the Jane pinafore dress from Bobbin and Buttons Patterns, and it's an easy fit A-line pinafore dress. So quite classic, quite simple really. It's a pull-on style, doesn't have a zip, just has button fastenings at the top there on the straps. And it includes 2 options. So you've got the patch pocket version, which has large sort of like curved pockets that make a statement, and then a panelled version with inseam pockets. And there's some darts at the bust there for shaping as well. So yeah, I think now with a pinafore dress like this, I think you could use a lighter weight or a finer ridged cord, but equally the jumbo cords would be fabulous in that as well. Next of all, let's go on to skirts next. Excuse me. So with skirts, we've got you've different options really that you could choose from. So first of all, let's have a look at the Simplicity 9267. So this is a button-up flared skirt, which has 3 different length options and some fabulous pockets, which are a pocket style I particularly love. And I think with this, it's often we think with skirts with corduroy, I think, like my mind anyway, often goes to like a pencil skirt. Something quite structured and needs to hold its shape. But actually you can make a more flared skirt in corduroy as well. Again, be a bit slightly more wintry kind of skirt. And again, I think really any of the sort of weights of cord would be fabulous for that. Yeah, you could have lots of variety, lots of choices with your fabric on that one. And then another skirt pattern. So we've got the I Am Julie skirt. So this is from I Am Patterns, and this one it's like a wrap over skirt, or a buttoned wrap skirt, or one that has a tie waist option rather than the buttons, and it has sort of like slanted hems, if you will, that run down the wrap over layers, and that gives it like a little, almost like a vent or a split at the front centre. So it's just something a little bit different. It's more along the lines of like a fitted kind of, I guess, pencil or straight skirt, but I think with that that wrap over detail and the buttons or the tie sort of fastenings, it's just something a little bit different. I think in either of those, maybe the one with the tie option, you might want to stick to one of the lighter, thinner, finer whale cord fabrics, just so it's not too bulky where it ties. But the other one, you could use any cord with that one. So next of all, let's take a look at some trouser patterns next. So I've got a few different ones to look at here actually. Yeah, I think trousers is one of those things. It's a very, very popular sort of style for cord fabrics. When you look at sort of lots of the makes that have been shared on Minerva in cord fabrics, very often people are making trousers in it. So I wanted to conclude, a good few options for this. So first of all, we've got the Lander pants and shorts. So it also has shorts in this pattern. And this is a high-waisted pant or short with a button fly. It has both front and back patch pockets, which are a nice feature. It's got belt loops. and it's a straight fit through the legs. So view A is the short version, view B is ankle length trousers, and view C is a boot length trousers that, you know, could be worn with a heel, for example. So with this this pattern rather, it requires a fabric with little to no stretch. So obviously all the ones with no stretch, absolutely perfect for this pattern. The ones that maybe have just, you know, 15% stretch, I think you would get away with. The ones that have much more stretch, like the ones at 30% stretch, it's not to say you couldn't use them, but you might need to look at the sizing and perhaps size down so that they don't become too baggy as you wear them. But yeah, that's a really lovely, very popular trouser pattern. Next up, I've actually got the ginger skinny jeans from Closet Core Patterns. So these are a very typical kind of skinny cut jean. I mean, they're such a popular pattern, and they've got a very modern kind of cut to them. A typical sort of daily staple. So you've got two different views on this pattern. So view A is a comfortable low-rise version with narrow, what they call stovepipe legs, and view B has a high waist with skinny legs and what's described as a tummy slimming pocket stay. So yeah, just two kind of very different versions in there. They both feature so subtly shaped back pockets, and they have slimming sort of side seams and a higher back rise to prevent, you know, any sort of uncomfortableness there in the fit. So this pattern is actually designed for a stretched denim fabric, obviously because it's a jeans pattern, but there is nothing to stop you using cord fabric instead. But you do definitely want one with stretch in it. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't make this pattern in one of the 100% cotton non-stretch cords, but those stretch ones we looked at would be fantastic for it. The next trouser pattern I've got is the Dawn pattern from Megan Nielsen, and this is a 4-in-1 sort of pattern. So you've got shorts and 3 different styles of jeans or trousers in there. So Dawn is a classic high-waisted jean pattern. It's designed for non-stretch fabrics. So just like the Lander, you know, you would want to really look at the non-stretch cords, or the ones, I mean, if you chose any with a little bit of stretch, you just want to take a look at the sizing and perhaps size down. But to be on the safe side, you know, choose one without the stretch in there. So the pattern includes 4 cuts and multiple lengths for you know, tall, regular and a cropped style. So it features a high rise to sit on the natural waist. It's got a button fly and a close fit throughout the waist and the hips, and it's got all your kind of classic jean details on there. So your different options are view A is a tapered leg, view B is a straight leg, and view C is a wide leg, and then the fourth option is a short. So yeah, really kind of versatile pattern, that one, and pretty much whatever sort of, you know, pants or jean style you're into, that pattern probably covers it. And then the next pattern I've got is a trouser and a short pattern, but it actually has a waistcoat in it as well. So all 3 pieces in this pattern would be fabulous for a cord fabric. So this is the Butterick 6901, and it's so popular, this pattern this year, or since it came out really. It's such a classic kind of waistcoat, I think, and I think that's probably the star of the show, this pattern, that most people are probably buying it for. But actually, when you look at the trousers and the shorts on there, they're very, very lovely trousers as well. So yeah, like I said, it's classic waistcoat, and then the trousers or the shorts are like a wider leg, all sort of classic details on there. And I just thought that would be a really good example of, you know, a waistcoat and trousers and shorts all in one pattern that would all be suitable for the cord fabric. They are suggesting fabrics without stretch, but I do think it's one of those patterns again where you could get away with one of the ones with a minimal amount of stretch in there, just as a comfort stretch. Now then, next of all, I've got a couple of different, I've got a few different jacket patterns. Yeah, let's go on to those next. And also like a vest or sort of gilet pattern as well. So we'll start with that one first. So this is the Wardrobe by Me Ozark vest. So it's a workwear inspired vest, a menswear pattern, this one. Perfect for transitional weather, you know, you can wear it over the top of a hoodie or a sweater, that sort of thing. You know, it's designed as like an outer layer and like a layering piece. So you can make it in things like canvas, and you know, you could even do a quilted version, but actually in corduroy this will be a fabulous pattern. It's going to give you that coziness and you know, that sort of more durable outerwear kind of feel. And for that reason, for me, for this pattern, I think you would want to choose one of the heavier, more chunkier cords to give it the sort of right sort of aesthetic and weight for this sort of style pattern. And with this pattern, the collar is actually cut in a rib fabric. So yeah, you would want to just team a rib fabric with your cord as well, so you've got that yeah, that finished detail around the neckline there. But yeah, really love the pattern, that one. I love the zip up, the patch pockets on the front, that rib sort of neckline detail. Very, very smart pattern, that one. So the next two jacket patterns I've got, these are actually both unisex patterns, so another couple of menswear we're throwing in as well. So the first one is the Friday Pattern Company The Ilford jacket. Again, another super popular pattern. So this one is, it's a very, very kind of versatile style. It includes two different lengths in the pattern. So it features drop shoulders, it has two sleeve options, a placketed sleeve cuff, placketed sleeve with a cuff, and it has an easier to sew, like more boxy sleeve as well, and that gives it a more relaxed vibe. Like I say, it has two different lengths, and then it has all different pocket templates inside that you can kind of choose what sort of style pockets you want to you know, for your personal preference. So with this pattern, I think this is definitely one where if you sew it in a lighter fabric, it feels more like a shirt or a shacket. If you sew it in a heavier fabric, it definitely feels more like a jacket. So I think that this one, you know, you could really use any of the woven fabrics we've talked about today. So the lighter ones will be more like a shirt layering piece come shacket. The heavier ones will feel more like a jacket. The next pattern I've got, so this is the Mimi G style for simplicity. 8845, and another unisex pattern, and this is kind of, it's a typical denim like jean jacket, but you know, I do think like it recommends in the fabrics, you can use cord fabric for it just to give it a different feel to a typical, you know, standard kind of denim jacket. And yeah, if you want that kind of, you know, short denim jacket with all the top stitching details, the jeans buttons, all that sort of thing, but in the look of corduroy, I think that'd be a fantastic pattern. And then I have a couple more jacket patterns, but these are women's wear patterns and very different to the last couple. So the first one is McCall's 7513, and this is a fitted jacket that has like a peplum detail from the fitted bit at the waist. And I just love those sort of pleats that sort of go over the bum at the back. I think they're really, really beautiful. Almost has a vintage kind of feel to me. And it actually recommends on the suggested fabrics for this that you can use cord. I think you could get away with any of the cord fabrics, but just bear in mind, you know, a chunkier one's going to feel heavier, a lighter one's going to feel like a much lighter jacket. But yeah, really, really lovely. And I think if you just want a jacket with, you know, a little bit of a difference, that could be a really nice option. And the last jacket we've got, so this is the Tilly and the Buttons Sunny jacket. So this is the one that has the big sort of prairie style collar on one of the views, and then the other view has patch pockets with a regular collar, and there's lots of opportunity for colour blocking in this pattern as well, which I think is really nice. It's rated for confident beginners as well, so you know, as always with Tilly patterns, it comes with fantastic instructions, and if you're somebody that's maybe got a few projects under your belt and really wants to tackle a jacket, then this could be a really good sort of first step. So yeah, like I say, it has that more utility style with the patch pocket version with a classic collar, or you've got a more cute and I guess trendy kind of one with a frill prairie collar as well. So yeah, two very different styles in the one pattern there. And again, I think it's one that either pattern will probably suit any of the cords really, and you could really use either a stretch or a non-stretch with this. It's not really gonna matter which you choose. If you choose a stretch one, you've just got a bit more movement and ease in the garment. The only thing I would take into account is if you're making the one with the prairie style collar, which has gathers around the edges, you probably don't want a cord that's too thick and heavy for that, because it might look a bit, you know, it's going to be a bit chunky looking in a really thick cord. So if you're sewing that version, I'd maybe just use one of the more medium to lighter weight cords. And then just 2 patterns left now. So first up is the Blanca Flight Suit from Closet Core Patterns. So I just wanted to include, you know, a flight suit or a overalls kind of pattern, because I think they are so popular for corduroy. It really suits the aesthetic, and the Blanca from Closet Core is such a fabulous pattern. It's got so many interesting, lovely details on there that, yeah, you can really sort of get your teeth stuck into with that project. It's definitely a bit more of an advanced pattern. It's going to take a bit more time because of all the details, but yeah, it will be absolutely fabulous made up in the cords. And in terms of it, so it doesn't recommend a fabric with stretch, but again, I think that is one that, you know, you could absolutely use one of the stretch wovens or the non-stretch wovens for. The ones with a bit of stretch, you're just going to be a bit more comfortable when you're wearing them, and, you know, probably will make achieving a good fit a little bit easier on that as well. And then the last pattern I've got, I wanted to include a children's wear pattern, and this is McCall's 8489, a great example, I think, of where corduroy really comes into its own for kids wear, where you need something a little bit more durable and just nice and comfortable to wear as well. So this pattern includes dungarees, overalls, and a pinafore dress as well. So you've 3 different options in this pattern. So you've got like a pinafore dress, and then you've got overalls or dungarees with both full leg sort of pants on them, or a little short option as well. Absolutely fantastic for cord fabric. Again, I think you could probably get away with any of the cord fabrics, you know, stretch or non-stretch, in any of the widths. But if you were making it for a younger child, like the pattern covers, you've got ages 3 to 6 in one pattern, and then ages 7 to 14 in the other size range. So if you were going to make it for a small child, you know, nearer to 3 to 4, for me anyway, I would probably want to choose one of the thinner, narrower ridge cords that are lighter in weight, just because I wouldn't want anything too chunky. But the older you go, you know, you could choose any of the fabrics. So that's all the pattern suggestions I have to share with you. So I hope that's, you know, inspired you, and, you know, even if those particular patterns aren't for you, you know, hopefully that's kind of steered you in the direction of the sort of styles that really suit a corduroy fabric. Yeah, and I hope that's been really sort of inspiring for you. So as always with these videos, we will tag all the fabrics and all the patterns and the fabric guide as well that I've mentioned in this video below. So you'll be able to see those tagged below the video on Minerva. So you know, you can check out all the other colours we've got, you can see more details on the patterns, you can see the prices, and also the other wonderful thing, of course, with the Minerva website is anybody in the Minerva community that's shared makes using either these patterns or fabrics, you'll be able to see their makes on the product pages, and it's just, you know, it's all really inspiring, isn't it, to be able to see what other people are making. So yeah, we'll tag all that information below, so if you are interested in any of the products today, you'll be able to easily find those. And also just to mention, at Minerva we do offer free super fast worldwide delivery, so wherever you're watching us from, you know, we can send these goodies out to you. That's no problem at all. We do also offer samples on all of our fabrics as well, so you know, if you just want to see the fabric in the flesh before committing to buy, that's no problem at all. And we do also sell all of our fabrics in increments as well, so you don't, you know, you only need to buy the exact amount you need, so there's no wastage there. We do also offer a thread match for all the fabrics as well, just to make that part even easier for you. And if you are a member of the Minerva Craft Club as well, then you will be able to save 10% off all the products featured in today's video, as well as everything else on the Minerva website. So, you know, whether you shop little and often or you've one big purchase to make, you know, it's a fantastic way to save with us every time you shop at Minerva. So if you're not a member, we'll put a link to that below, and, you know, you can check that out if you're interested. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed learning about cord fabric. Let me know in the comments below, have you sewn with cord before? Is it something you'd love to give a try? It definitely seems to be a very popular fabric here at Minerva. especially I would say, you know, in the colder months of the year, just because it has that soft and cosy feel. So yeah, I'd be really interested to hear from you, you know, just how many people have sewn with cord before. Maybe it's something you want to give a try. You know, maybe it's something that, you know, you're maybe a little bit scared about working with the nap or anything like that. And that's where really Jo's video coming to the channel later today will really help you. So if you want some hints and tips on how to sew cord fabric, do check out Jo's video that's coming today. And you know, as always, it's filled with hints and tips. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon with the next base cloth in the Minerva Fabric Guide.